Hey everyone, I just wanted to make this quick video to tell you about an experience that I had at our facilitators conference in Utah a couple weeks ago. And we were playing a bingo game for the conference, and there was all these little squares about just different things that you could pass off in the facilitator training or just things that were being taught in the workshops. And if you got a bingo, you got to go to this big wicker basket and choose a prize, but you couldn't like hold it up or tell anyone what else was in there. They were all a surprise. And so different people were getting bingo and getting all these cool prizes. And a person sitting next to me, a friend of mine, was crossing off some of her things on her bingo card. And one of them was some unintentional goals that she had set. And it's the square said set 5 unintentional goals. And this is something we learned about in Guided Mindset Mastery, how to set these goals. And it's kind of like unintentional goals are like practice goals, where that you don't have a lot of emotion wrapped around them. Intentional goals are like goals having to do with your health or your finances or relationships, things that you're really passionate and emotional about. But unintentional goals are just little ways to build your confidence that take a little bit of faith and for you to move forward, but not a lot. They're just practice. So it's kind of like, I want to see a blue Jeep or something like that. So another way to think of unintentional goals is when you get a new car and say you get a blue minivan or whatever, then you start seeing blue minivans all over the place, and they were there before, but you weren't tuned into them, so you didn't see it. So unintentional goals helps you get clear about what is it that I want, and then you kind of tune into that, and then you start seeing it, and it shows up in your life everywhere. And I don't believe in coincidences. I feel like God orchestrates things to bring us joy, and he sends people and things to help us. But I feel like if we're not tuned into it, we don't always see the tender mercies and the blessings that he puts in front of us and all the ways that he really is trying to help us. But when we're clear about what we want, we pray and ask for his help. He wants to help us improve our health. He wants to help us with our relationships and our finances and all of the things, but we're not always going to recognize his help unless we tune into it. So these unintentional goals are a good way to practice just using a little bit of faith to make things happen. And then when we have big things that we want and need in our life, we can already have practice asking and looking for and tuning into those things. So when my friend was passing off her unintentional goals, writing them down and already seeing them happen, I thought, oh, I need to do that one. I need to set some unintentional goals. So the square said to set 5, and so I thought, well, 5 senses. So I just set one for each of the 5 senses. And I just wrote down, there's like correct ways to set these unintentional goals to just really help them work with your subconscious mind. And you write them as if they already happened, and you learn about that in Guided Mindset Mastery. But I just jotted down on a piece of paper, I would love to see a ladybug. And just off the cuff, off the top of my head, I'm just like coming up with whatever comes up in my mind. I would love to taste watermelon. I would love to hear my mom's name. I would love to smell Italian food. And I would love to feel, I was thinking of something really soft, like rabbit fur. And those all required a little bit of faith, because how am I going to feel rabbit fur? Like, even if a little rabbit comes hopping through the campground, and not that it needed to happen that week while we were up at the conference, but I don't have rabbits. I don't have any rabbit fur things. And so I didn't know how that was going to happen. And that's the thing about these. You don't know how that they're going to happen. You just know what it is that you would like or what you would love. So, and the watermelon one was a little bit of a stretch, and that requires more faith, but it's more exciting when they happen, when you're like, I have no idea how this is going to happen, but you don't spend time doubting it. You just put it down on paper, and then you just kind of set it aside. But your subconscious is still in tune with it. So when it happens, you're like, oh, there it is. So it really is fun. I encourage you to practice it and try it. But I put watermelon because I ate watermelon all summer long, and I love it. But the last couple times I went to the store to buy watermelon, there were pumpkins where the watermelons used to be. So I thought that one would be kind of a stretch. My mom's name was Nora, and that's not something I hear very often. And a name that I hear. So it's getting a little more popular with the babies being born. But anyway, so then, and the rabbit fur, I didn't know how that would happen. And the Italian food, it was funny that that came to my mind. I love Italian food, but I have to make my own because of gluten intolerances and things. So I don't usually like eat just Italian food out. And so, so it was funny that I would put that one down. And what was the other one? The ladybug. Anyway, I don't know why that came to my mind either. But so the next day, or even that night, we were out doing other stuff and then came back to the lodge where we were eating, and I could look through the window and I saw watermelon was being served with dinner. And later, a couple of days later, well, no, I was telling Leslie Householder, I said that was one of my unintentional goals, and she said, that wasn't even on the menu. That's so funny. Anyway, so it was fun. I was just kind of telling people about it. And then I told the two friends that were sitting next to me what the rest of my goals were. And about the rabbit fur and about my mom's name. And one of them asked, what was your mom's name? And I said, I don't want to tell you because then you'll just say it and then that won't be the same thing. And she's like, no, just tell me, what's her name? And so I told her that her name is Nora. And so then we were just going about our day, and I ended up getting bingo on my card. So I went to the box. This was maybe even the next day after I wrote down the goals. And I went to the prize box and I chose this journal and ended up this planner thing. And Leslie Householder was recording everyone choosing the things out of the prize box, and I thought she was just going to post something about the conference and the prize box. And so she told me after I chose the planner, choose another thing. And so I looked at this water bottle that said Rare Faith on it, and she said, look what's in that canvas bag, because no one was looking in there and no one was choosing. And when I looked inside the canvas bag, it was a rabbit pelt, like rabbit fur that was tanned and put on this piece of felt. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's one of my unintentional goals. And she had no idea. She was recording because that was like a gag gift that she put in there, because a reader had sent her 4 years ago. He had been out rabbit hunting. He read Jack Rabbit Factor and loved it, was out hunting, caught a rabbit, and thought it would be funny to like tan this rabbit fur and send it to her. So he did. And she liked it, and she thought it was so sweet of him, but didn't really know what to do with it. So 4 years later, she brought it to this conference and just put it in this prize box and just see people's reaction when they saw it. But she had no idea that it was my unintentional goal. So I was so excited about that. And then later on in the week, my friend who I told about my mom's name is a photographer, and she was walking around taking pictures of animals that were on the property. There's like donkeys and llamas and stuff. And she came into the lodge where I was sitting talking to a friend, and she said, look at these pictures that I took of animals. And she said, handed me her phone and said, I need to go wash my hands. So while she was gone, I was flipping through her pictures, and one of them was a road sign that said Nora Way. And so I showed it to my other friend, and I said, read this sign. And she said, Nora Way. And I said, that's my mom's name. I heard my mom's name. I said, but I don't know that it's the same, because she is the one who I told about it. And so she came back, and I said, that's very sweet of you to take a picture of that sign, but I don't know that that really counts. And she said, I think it does, because when we have goals and we have things that we want to have happen in our life, if we tell people about them that care about us, she said, then if they come across that, if they notice that showing up, then they can help us and let us know. She said, like, if you needed a washing machine and you told me that, and then if I see a washing machine that someone's giving away or, selling, she said, I can say, oh, Christy needs a washing machine. I said, that's really true. So I thought that was kind of cool. Later on the next day, and we never had any idea what was on the menu. They had an Italian side dish, but I smelled Italian food. So all of them except the seeing a ladybug happened while I was up there at that conference, which was really exciting. So I just wanted to put that out there for you to just practice and just finding out what it is that you would love to see in your life, and then tune into it and watch what happens. And this is just something that we don't rush these things. They don't really matter. They're not forced, and we don't know when they're going to happen. But it's just kind of fun when our subconscious is tuned into them, and then they just show up. And you learn more about this in the Guided Mindset Mastery course, and I'll put a link to that in my Facebook group. And there's a self-paced course where you can just do on your own, and then there's also a guided one where you meet for 14 weeks over Zoom with a small class of like 10 to 12 people and a coach, and you really learn a lot about the universal laws and about the stick man, which is the symbols for how our mind works. It's just so awesome. That class is why I work for Rare Faith, because I was so intrigued and learned so many life-changing things in that class. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you today. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.